Come up to me and said, "Hey, I'm Pooh Shiesty mama." And I had just said some about that boy. And she said, I ain't like what you said. And you know, I think I won't say her husband, but Pooh Shiesty daddy represent another faction of Rap A Lot, but it's not Rap A Lot. When she said that, me and that white boy took off running from her. Yeah, she scared me because she kind of gangster. And I ain't said nothing about it.
Charleston White just crossed paths with Pooh Shiesty's parents, and listen to this, these Memphis OGs carry a reputation that makes people move different, and you won't believe what happened when they confronted CW about speaking on their son. Behind Charleston's loud commentary and viral antics, he had been talking about a young man whose roots run deep in Memphis history. The reality of what happened when true street figures approach this internet personality is wilder than anything trending online. And yes, the proof speaks for itself. Now, before we break down the confrontation, hold up, let me keep it real with you. Charleston White had been criticizing Pooh Shiesty ever since the arrest, claiming prison would humble him and that authority would teach him lessons. This online personality was doing his usual routine, going live, talking reckless for views, until he encountered people who take family respect seriously. Now, hold up before anyone thinks this was just internet drama or clout chasing. Charleston had no idea he was about to meet the woman who raised one of Memphis's most authentic street rappers, and the man once known as a respected kingpin. These were not ordinary parents stepping into a situation. These are individuals whose reputations were built through decades of surviving one of America's toughest cities. And this is exactly why tension was inevitable the moment Charleston turned Shiesty's incarceration into content. So listen closely. Let's talk about who Pooh Shiesty's mother really is, because this is far from an average suburban parent. This woman holds a reputation of her own, and her life story honestly rivals anything you've seen in a crime series. Pooh Shiesty's mother was raised in the same unforgiving South Memphis environment that shaped figures like Yo Gotti and Young Dolph. Unlike many women who enter street life through relationships, she had ties long before meeting the mob boss. She understood the rules, the risks, and most importantly, how to survive in a place where weakness could cost everything. When the mob boss aligned with Shiesty's father, it wasn't romance, it was strategy. It was two hardened figures building something powerful in a constant war zone. Their relationship endured federal investigations, territorial threats from rivals, and the pressure of knowing every day carried risk. What made their bond stand out was a shared vision for their family's future. They saw the streets as a tool, not a destination. When the mob boss faced federal time, she held everything together. She handled finances, maintained alliances, and protected their reputation while he fought his case. That required a level of awareness and influence most people never develop. She made decisions carrying life or death consequences, authorizing actions few would ever face. The respect she earned in Memphis came from years of proving herself, where one mistake could have ended everything. She navigated investigations, rival pressure, and internal betrayal while keeping her family secure and operations intact. She was never just a bystander connected to someone else's world. She was deeply involved and fully aware of how everything functioned. Her influence on Shiesty's mindset cannot be overstated. While his father showed him the structure of the streets, his mother taught survival, loyalty, and strength under pressure. She also valued education and legitimate opportunities, making sure Pooh stayed in school despite everything around them. But listen, this is where the story goes deeper than reputation alone. When Charleston White began publicly disrespecting her son, treating incarceration like entertainment, he had no idea he was speaking about the child of someone who had endured pressures that break most people. This woman had watched authorities target her family, seen rivals threaten her loved ones, and never once backed down from a fight. Now, here's the part that really shifts the focus. Listen to this. Let's talk about Pooh Shiesty's father, Lantrell Williams Sr., known across Memphis as Mob Boss. This wasn't a man performing toughness for attention like online personalities. Mob Boss had verified status in the streets, and his operation was so advanced, federal agents needed months just to map its reach. Real talk, the name Mob Boss wasn't branding hype. It came from years of influence, movement, and respect throughout Memphis. His reach stretched from the Mississippi Delta to the Arkansas border, with I-55 functioning like a distribution route. His network included drivers transporting product across states, insiders providing warnings about law enforcement, and loyal members committed to the organization. But hold up, what truly separated Mob Boss from typical street figures was his mindset. He understood the biggest downfall for many dealers is indulging in their own product, literally and mentally. While other crews chased attention and confrontation, Mob Boss moved with executive precision rather than impulse. He invested in property throughout South Memphis, using locations as stash points and meeting hubs. He maintained legitimate businesses that explained income and supported those around him. Most importantly, he understood staying beneath law enforcement's radar while earning serious money was the real strategy. That's why he created Mob Ties Records, an independent label that justified travel, explained large transactions, and built influence without constant violence. But girl, this is where the story takes another turn. In 2007, Memphis police had been monitoring one of Mob Boss's operations for over a month. They conducted surveillance on an apartment at 784 Porter Street that appeared abandoned but functioned as a trap house. The location was chosen with precision. Porter Street ended in a quiet area where police presence was minimal and residents stayed out of each other's business. Let me walk you through what happened when authorities finally executed those warrants, because this scene felt unreal. Detective Cottrell Robinson entered first, and the moment officers breached the door, chaos erupted instantly. Mob Boss's cousin, Rico Johnson, attempted to flee from apartment 4 into apartment 3. Glass shattered as someone launched themselves through the kitchen window. And you won't believe this, a 75-pound pit bull charged around the corner, aiming straight for the officers. Detective Robinson fired 3 shots before the dog retreated to the kitchen where it died. That pit bull wasn't simply a pet, it functioned as security. Within the drug trade, aggressive dogs serve strategic roles. They discourage robbery, alert occupants to raids, and can destroy evidence if trained accordingly. The fact that the animal attacked armed officers showed the level of training behind its purpose. Once everything settled, authorities uncovered an operation revealing the scale of Mob Boss's enterprise. They seized 12.5 grams of cocaine, 8 pounds of high-grade marijuana, digital scales, measuring cups for processing crack, a Smith & Wesson firearm, and $10,000 cash in his pocket. Now listen, this leads to the most serious allegations connected to Mob Boss and shows the depth of his reputation. Back in 2004, he became connected to one of Memphis's most shocking homicide cases, involving a 24-year-old radio DJ named Rebecca Glenn. Rebecca was discovered strangled inside her apartment by Stanley Andrews, but according to official reports, Mob Boss was charged as an accessory after the fact to first-degree murder. Here's where the narrative becomes even more complicated. Word in Memphis suggested Rebecca played Yo Gotti's music, but refused airtime to Mob Boss or his Mob Ties artists. In that city's music world, radio exposure meant everything. It separated local performers from artists able to earn real income. Some claimed Mob Boss ordered retaliation over the perceived disrespect, though that was never proven in court. Still, those claims alone reflected the level of influence tied to his name. What is confirmed is that after Rebecca's death, Mob Boss and Marquita Thomas were caught using her credit cards and selling her belongings. That kind of action shocked people deeply. The case sent waves through Memphis because it revealed the overlap between the music industry and criminal activity. Investigators uncovered disturbing details about how the crime occurred. Stanley Andrews had slipped past building security and wandered the hallways knocking on random doors. When Rebecca opened her door to check who was there, Andrews forced his way inside, grabbed her by the neck, and strangled her before robbing the apartment. Listen to this. It escalated in seconds. Stanley Andrews' own sister said she couldn't process what her brother had done. Telling Action News 5, he called from jail claiming Rebecca cursed him out for knocking, and he just snapped. But hold up, that explanation never sat right. Yet Andrews showed zero remorse. He carried himself like someone fully aware of every move he made. His sister admitted she was stunned because he didn't behave like a man who suddenly lost control and killed a stranger. He showed absolutely no remorse at all. The case also exposed how much influence radio DJs held in deciding which artists got exposure, and that kind of power quietly made them targets for anyone who felt overlooked or disrespected. Ma Boss ended up facing accessory charges and first-degree forgery, but somehow he dodged the harshest outcome and received only a year of supervised probation. Girl, that shocked a lot of people. That lenient sentence should have been a turning point, but for someone like Ma Boss, the pull of the streets was louder than any warning sign. Let that sink in for a moment. This was the environment of violence and criminal influence surrounding Pooh Shiesty's upbringing. So now let's get into what Charleston White said that pushed these Memphis OGs over the edge, because his words weren't just disrespectful, they openly celebrated a young man's downfall.
Man, Charleston questioned who could be writing those lyrics, even suggesting something dark was behind them. You won't believe the tone. He kept asking how someone so young could think like that, repeating how could he know about violence the way he did. After Pooh Shiesty received a 63-month federal sentence, Charleston went live laughing at the situation like it was entertainment. He claimed that before prison, Pooh was moving reckless in the streets, treating violence like it was routine. Basically, he framed it like real life was a video game. He continued saying Pooh would now be forced to follow strict rules and mocked the idea that prison authority would straighten him out. In one of his harshest rants, Charleston insisted the system doesn't play. He talked about probation officers controlling behavior and forcing discipline. He described Pooh as someone who would be tightly monitored with no room for mistakes. He was essentially celebrating the idea that Pooh would live under constant supervision after release. He repeated that probation would control him. He argued that people like that need probation officers. He even suggested the system's best tool for a gangster is parole or probation. But here's what really bothered people. Charleston mocked the idea that Pooh Shiesty once had influence in the streets, but now would be powerless. He described him as once dangerous, but now reduced to typing online instead of living that life. He compared street violence to digital noise, saying the keyboard replaced the gun. For people who understand the culture, disrespecting someone's child, especially from a family with real reputation, is serious business. Charleston was openly mocking incarceration while praising government control over someone's future. The harshest part was him acting like he knew what was best for Pooh Shiesty's life. He framed prison as something that would fix him and make him better. That kind of commentary came off deeply condescending, especially from someone removed from that reality. The moment that truly shook everyone happened when Pooh Shiesty's parents had enough of Charleston's commentary. These weren't internet personalities chasing views. They were veterans of a harsh environment who had survived real struggles. When they confronted Charleston, there were no cameras or viral clips involved. It was an old-school, face-to-face moment where real issues get handled directly. No online arguments, no social media theatrics, just a clear message about boundaries. Charleston quickly realized he wasn't dealing with online critics chasing attention. He stood face-to-face with people who lived experiences he only spoke about. These were individuals who had endured federal cases, street conflict, and real-world consequences. The energy shifted instantly when Charleston understood the seriousness of the encounter. These parents weren't there to debate online content. They made it clear that disrespecting their son publicly would not be tolerated. She approached him and introduced herself as Pooh Shiesty's mother after hearing what he had said. She told him directly she didn't like his words. He mentioned her husband's affiliations in a cautious tone. When she spoke, Charleston admitted he and another man quickly backed away. He later admitted she intimidated him and he stopped mentioning Pooh after that. You could see from his body language he realized he crossed a serious line. The man who once laughed about the case suddenly showed visible respect when confronted by family. After that moment, his entire tone shifted. The same voice that profited from controversy became apologetic and promised silence moving forward. He admitted the encounter humbled him. That shift from reckless talk to respectful silence said everything. The confrontation revealed the difference between online bravado and real-world accountability. Charleston built his platform criticizing street culture and those who come from it, but when faced with people who lived that reality, his energy changed instantly. Ultimately, this situation wasn't only about Charleston's words or a family's response. It was about respect, loyalty, and boundaries that views cannot erase. Charleston experienced firsthand the gap between performance and consequence. When dealing with people who carry real influence, online persona offers no protection. The energy you project often circles back, especially when families are involved. For Pooh Shiesty's parents, it was about protecting their family's name. In their world, allowing disrespect without response signals weakness. The confrontation also highlighted generational codes within street culture. Mob Boss and his wife represent an older mindset, built on action over words. They value loyalty above attention or profit. This situation also exposed how internet culture can profit from real suffering. Charleston benefited from commentary about someone's hardship. The question now is whether he maintains that restraint or returns to old habits. One thing is clear, he now understands the strength behind that family. It also reminds us that every artist has a family carrying real experiences. Mocking legal struggles disrespects more than one person. What do you think about Charleston White's confrontation with Pooh Shiesty's parents? Did he truly learn, or will history repeat itself? Share your thoughts and check out our other breakdowns of major hip-hop controversies. The streets have been talking, and now you know what happened when Charleston faced Memphis figures who defend their own. That moment reflected real accountability. It proves that no matter how large your platform becomes, crossing certain lines still brings consequences.